Now, our presenter, Dr. Tony Alessandra, is an internationally sought-after speaker, trainer, and best-selling author. His professional mission is to help companies build customers, relationships, and the bottom line. Dr. Alessandra is a streetwise, college-smart perspective on business, having fought his way out of New York City to eventually realize success as a graduate professor of marketing, entrepreneur, business author, and keynote speaker. He earned his MBA from the University of Connecticut and his PhD in marketing from Georgia State University.
Very direct and to the point. I'm getting everything that he says, and it's sticking with me.
You can tell that he really knows what he's talking about.
Very, very informative. I really got a lot out of this.
Absolutely fantastic.
Our speaker is a widely published author with 27 books published into 50 foreign language editions, including Charisma, The Platinum Rule, Collaborative Selling, and Communicating at Work. In addition, he has recorded and filmed more than 50 audio and video learning programs.
He's very engaging and keeps the audience very involved and is very interactive.
Oh, excellent. He's teaching you all the tips and tools, techniques of people, different personalities.
He's very good, got a lot of knowledge.
Very informative, great techniques.
He's funny, he makes great points, he's very charismatic and entertaining. Great speaker.
Recognized by Meetings and Conventions magazine as one of America's most electrifying speakers, Dr. Alessandra was inducted into the Speakers Hall of Fame and has delivered over 2,000 speeches and seminars throughout his professional speaking career. Here today to help us better understand human behavior, please join me in welcoming Dr. Tony Alessandra. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you. How many of you in your dealings with other people have ever had a personality conflict? Anybody? All right, and I guess the rest of you don't deal with people? Come on, we've all had the misfortune, whether we might want to admit it or not, we've all had the misfortune of not being able to connect with another person, not able to create that all-important meeting of the minds. Now, I contend that you can create a lot more rapport with people and a lot less tension with them based on how well you practice the golden rule. Practice it appropriately, more rapport; inappropriately, more tension, maybe even conflict. So before I go any further, let's make sure that we're all listening from the same perspective. What is the golden rule? Anybody?
Do unto others as they have done unto you.
Okay. Somebody back there is a manager, right? Who said the person who has the gold makes the rules. All right. That's typically the managerial golden rule. Me, I grew up, born and raised in Manhattan in New York City, and growing up, of course, we had our version of the golden rule, which is do unto others before they do unto you, right? Then as a teenager, I moved to the Jersey Shore. They had their variation of the golden rule, which was do unto others and split. But the real golden rule, several people mentioned that the real golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Is that pretty accurate? Treat people the way you want and need to be treated. All right? Now, I have to tell you, I believe in that rule 110% when it comes to values, ethics, honesty, consideration. There's no better rule. But when it comes to one-to-one communication, whether it is with your family, whether it's socially, whether it's in business, whether it's in sales and management, coaching people, when it comes to one-to-one communication, the golden rule can, and often does, backfire. Sounds a little sacrilegious, doesn't it? But basically what it says is that I should treat you the way I want to be treated. Is that right? But what if you don't want to be treated the same way I do? Does that make sense? I mean, I learned that firsthand. Growing up, first 18 years of my life, in New York and New Jersey, and then eventually moving to San Diego. Would you say that San Diego has a little bit different culture than New York City and New Jersey? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. So when I moved there, I practiced the golden rule. I treated people the way I would like to be treated. In other words, I treated the people in San Diego as if they were New Yorkers. Do you see a potential problem here? I came on too strong, too fast, too aggressive, too in your face. Even when I asked people to do things that under any other circumstance they would have willingly done, they dug in their heels, decided not to do it. And it wasn't because of what I was asking them to do, it was because of how. It was my approach. Right? I just rubbed people the wrong way. And I realized that the golden rule at times needs to be tweaked, and that's when I came up with the platinum rule. The platinum rule, very simply stated, is do unto others the way they want to be done unto. Right? It's a little New York in there. But basically, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Another way, treat people the way they want and need to be treated. Does that make sense? It's no different from that age-old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans. I call it adaptability. Adaptability is your ability to change your approach, to change your strategy, depending on the situation or the person you're dealing with. That is adaptability. That is the platinum rule. Now, what I'm going to share with you is something I believe every single person in this audience has been exposed to at least once, some of you many times. But how many of you, second or third time through a book or a movie, heard or saw things the second or third time through that you totally missed the first or second time through? Anybody? Right? So it doesn't matter how many times you've been exposed to this concept, I guarantee you will hear, you will see, you will sense some new ways, some new strategies, some new techniques to deal with people more effectively. Now, how many of you really do, on a day-to-day basis, deal with people? That's part of your job. So this obviously is going to help you. Now, people won't tell you how to treat them. That would make it real easy, right? Paul, before you try to sell me, let me tell you the best thing to do. Right? They're not going to do things like that. They're not going to tell you how to sell them or manage them or coach them or communicate with them. But they will show you. And all I ask you to do is open your eyes and ears. Watch what people do and listen to what they say. And they will send out signals that tell you how to be adaptable with them. Now, I've taken a very complicated subject and I've simplified it dramatically, at least I think so. And basically, you need to make two decisions about people. And you can do this pretty quickly if you know what you're looking for and you know what you're listening to. Two simple decisions about people. Decision number one, is the person that I'm dealing with coming across more open or more guarded? More open or guarded? It's an either or. So how do you tell the difference? Well, let's start with guarded people. And by the way, as I go through this, I'd like you to make two simple decisions. Number one, where do you think you are? Most of the time with most people, do you think you come across more open or guarded? But number two, I want you to think of at least one person that you have to deal with on an ongoing basis where the relationship isn't as strong as you would like it to be or it should be. And I want you to decide where that particular individual or individuals are on this scale, more open or more guarded. Everybody with me? All right, let's start with guarded. How do you tell whether or not somebody is more guarded than open? Well, guarded people do not, and I repeat, they do not show or share their feelings and thoughts readily or willingly. In other words, they play their cards how? Close to the chest, close to the vest. Hard to read. Limited, controlled body language and facial expressions. To the extreme, we say they have what kind of a face? A poker face, more stoic. These are the type of people that when you get together with them, they do not like much, if any, social talk, chit-chat, schmoozing, whatever you want to call it. What do they want you to do? Get to the point. Right down to business. Listen, I only have 5 minutes. What's this all about? These are the people that make decisions primarily based on facts, logic, numbers, data, documentation, put it in writing. They're no-nonsense people. They tend to keep a distance physically and emotionally, certainly early on in any kind of relationship. It's a little bit more difficult to get to know them. It's a little bit more difficult to get close to them. Now, I have a person who is extremely guarded. I don't know if you know anybody this guarded. My buddy Dennis. This goes back several years. I remember the first time he called my home, and my wife answered the phone. It's the first time she answered the phone for Dennis. When she answered the phone, this is what Dennis said. Tony. That was it. So anyway, I got on the phone. As you can imagine, it was a short phone call. I hung up the phone. My wife said, "Who was that?" I said, "It was Dennis." "Why?" She said, "Tony, this guy has zero social skills. This is what he just yelled out your name, Tony." She said, "I don't even understand how you can have this person as a friend." And I said, "Sue, obviously that may be one of his shortcomings, but he does have a lot of positive characteristics, and I tend to focus more on the positive and maybe less on the negative." She said, "Tony, you're missing the point here. He's hurting your business." I said, how is he hurting my business? He's not even part of it." She said, "Tony, you teach relationship strategies. You teach communication skills, and you have this guy as a friend. What does it tell people about the effectiveness of what you teach?" Sounds like a wife, that's right. So I said, "Well, what should I do?" She said, "Tony, look, coach him. Take 90 days. Coach him on your relationship strategies and show people how powerful it is." And I took it as a challenge, and I worked with Dennis for 90 days. And I have to tell you, some people after the 90 days said that his change was miraculous. I love the word, miraculous. It was unbelievable. Here was a guy who was in his late 30s, early 40s, had a particular way of doing things for all of those years, and in 90 days, I turned this guy around. 90 days, he calls my house. My wife answers. He says, "Sue, Dennis, Tony, 300% improvement." I mean, is that unbelievable? Just 90 days of coaching, what I did with this guy. Well, anyway, that's guarded. How many of you know somebody who kind of fits that description of being guarded? Can I see your hands? All right. Now, how about the other side? Open. Open people readily and willingly show and share their feelings and thoughts, whether you want to know them or not. Any subject, any time, anywhere is okay. These are the people that they get close to you physically, emotionally. When they greet at a closer, maybe shaking hands like this. "How are you doing?" And maybe putting a hand on your shoulder or your arm. A two-handed handshake. Maybe a hug. But these are the people who get close physically, mentally, emotionally. By the way, it's been said that they digress a lot from the conversation. One thing reminds them of another. What was I talking about? And they forget. It's been said about open people that their thoughts are like gumballs. They just fall to the tongue and roll out. Not unusual to leave a conversation with an open person saying to yourself, "Wow, what did we talk about?" Because they're jumping all over the place. They make decisions primarily based on what? Emotion, feeling, intuition. So where do you think you would put yourself on this scale? If you're very guarded, you'd pick the number 1. Very open, you'd pick the number 4. Somewhere in between, you'd pick a 2 or a 3. Just think to yourself. And how many of you are here with somebody who you know or knows you? Can I see your hands? I mean, if you really want to know how you come across to other people, what should you do? Ask them. So let me give you just a few seconds, real quick. Lean over to somebody and say, "Hey, what number would you pick for me?" And see how close their perception of you is to your perception of you. Just a few seconds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? I have a quick question for you. May I have your attention? Quick question. How many of you, upon asking your friend, your colleague, your spouse, your partner, what number he or she would pick for you, they picked the exact same number that you picked for yourself? Can I see your hands? All right, not that bad. How many were one number off from what you picked versus what they picked for you? Can I see your hands? All right, how about 2 numbers off? 2 numbers off. All right, how about 3? Because I'm going to have a special session for you afterwards. All right, nobody.